Slide is visible. Slide is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So this is the second session we are discussing. So in the last class, we have discussed about the two different techniques to produce the coherent sources. One technique is by division of wavefront technique. So in this division of wavefront technique, the entire wave is divided into two sections, right? So by dividing the wave into two sections, we are producing the coherent sources. And this type of technique, division of wavefront technique, is useful in Young's double slit experiment, Fresnel double mirror, and Fresnel biprism. These are all the instruments using we can perform these experiments. They are called Young's double slit experiment, Fresnel biprism experiment, and all those things. So what we have to remember is, so in this experiment, the concept involved is what? Division of wavefront technique. Then we have discussed about the division of amplitude technique. So in this technique, what happens? The original light amplitude is divided. Means we transmit part of the light and we reflect part of the light. So in that way, the amplitude gets divided. In the previous case, the whole beam was divided. Here the amplitude is getting divided. So this kind of technique is also a technique to produce the coherent sources, because for producing the interference, what we need is we need coherent sources, right? So I have told you in this case, this is the wavefront division technique. This is the amplitude division technique. So this we have discussed in the previous class. And we also discussed the Young's double slit experiment. So Young's double slit experiment, I'll just brief it. So what we have in the Young's double slit experiment, we have a single slit. There is a small opening here. There is a very small opening. So through this opening, what will happen once the light starts glowing? So it will emit the radiations. So these radiations are passing through this first slit. So what we are getting here is we are getting a spherical wavefront alternate to dark and bright fringes will be formed, a spherical wavefront. And then we are keeping here one more slit which is having two holes, that is called a double slit, one opening here and one opening here. So from this we get one spherical wavefront. From this hole we get one more spherical wavefront. So these two wavefronts, they overlap with one another. When they overlap with one another, they may undergo constructive interference, giving rise to a bright fringe. They may undergo destructive interference, giving rise to a dark fringe. Right? So ultimately, on the screen, what we get is we get light band and dark band. That is, this is a light, dark, like this. We get alternative fringe pattern. This we call it as what is known as interference fringe pattern. So by this experiment, the scientist Young demonstrated for the first time the so-called wave nature of light. Wave nature of light. Why we say wave nature of light? Because if suppose, let's say for a moment, assume that light is traveling like a ray. Light is traveling like a ray. So if you say it is not a wave, if it is a ray, then what we expect actually, if this is the light, if it is traveling in the form of a ray, then what we expect? We expect one ray of light to travel in this direction. And let's say this light is traveling like this also in this direction. Let's say this light is traveling like this also in this direction by the ray nature of light. Then finally what we expect? We expect that this ray should travel straight like this, and we have to have one you know band here, and this ray travels straight like this, and we have to have one band here. So ultimately we expect two bands on the screen if it is a ray property, if it is traveling in a straight line. If you take the case of a ray nature of light, because there are two openings, so light is traveling straight, so it should have a band here. It is traveling straight, it should have a band here. So this is what we expect normally. But what we are getting, we are not getting two bands. We are getting continuously alternative dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright. This kind of fringe pattern we are getting. So how to explain this? So this is possible only if you take this incident light as a wave. Incident light as a wave. Once you assign a wave nature for this, then as per the Huygens theory, the concept of this is spherical wavefronts. The concept of this spherical wavefronts come into picture. So we treat it like a spherical wavefront. Then through this opening, there is a one more spherical wavefront here. Then from this opening, there is a one more spherical wavefront here, right? Now, because now it is like a wave, it's not a ray now, it is a wave. So once a wave is traveling, it will be associated with this spherical wavefront. These wavefronts, they interfere with each other. Finally, what we get? We get alternative dark, bright fringe pattern on the screen. So in this manner, Young was able to explain successfully for the first time or demonstrate for the first time the wave nature of light. Right. So this is about the Young's double slit experiment. Right. Now, what we are going to discuss today is we are going to obtain an expression for what is called fringe width. What do you mean by fringe width? Here, if you say this is one bright band, if this is another bright band, you take the middle of this band, you take the middle of this band. What is the distance between these two bright bands? What is the distance between these two bright bands? The distance between these two consecutive bands, we call it as what is known as fringe width. What is known as fringe width. So fringe width is the distance between any two consecutive bright bands, or if you take, for example, this dark band, take the mid of this dark band, you take the distance between these two. So this we call it as what is known as fringe width. It is called fringe width. So what is a fringe width? It is the distance between the two consecutive dark bright fringes denoted by the symbol beta. Now we are going to obtain a mathematical expression for this what is called fringe width, right? So that is the the topic of our discussion today. So we'll try to obtain it. Now what I've done is I've taken a direct photograph from the book. I don't want to waste time in writing all these things. So here this is about the Young's double slit experiment. We'll be discussing the Young's double slit experiment. At the same time, we are going to obtain an expression for fringe width. So this is the diagram. What we have here, the same Young's double slit experiment diagram we have here. Now here P is a single slit having a small opening here, right? Q is one more slit having two openings, one opening here and one opening here. So there are two openings. So what we have here, this is what is Z. Z is a screen, right? So what is the distance between this double slit and this screen? It is taken as a capital D. What is the distance between the two openings, two slits, A and B? It is taken as small d. You can see small d is the distance between the two openings A and B, right? And then capital D is the distance between this double slit and the screen, right? Then S is the source, right? So what we are showing here is from this opening we are taken a ray of light like this. So AZ is one ray, right? We have taken one more ray. What is known as this BP. BP is another ray. So actually in this on the screen what we get alternative dark and bright fringe pattern, right? So this is what we get on the screen. So what is this O dash? O dash is the central maxima. O dash corresponds to the central band, central maxima. Then from this central maxima, what we have taken is we have taken a one particular band at a location P. What is that? Let's say for example, I am taking this band. What is that band? I am taking one particular band, that is P. So what is the distance from here to here, this band to this band? That is taken as X. So X is the distance from central band to that of a one particular band. I don't know whether this P is a dark band or a bright band, it doesn't matter. Choosing one particular band for the purpose of derivation of fringe width expression, right? So one ray is AP, another ray is BP. Then what we are doing, we are drawing a perpendicular. Means by taking this AZ as a radius, if you draw a circle here, it cuts this BP at point L. So this AL is going to be perpendicular to BP, right? So the mental setup we have. In order to what for this all? This is to obtain the expression for fringe width, right? So the same thing is written here in the form of the story. What is that? When a monochromatic light from the illuminated slit S falls on the slits A and B, the equally spaced bright and dark fringes are formed on the screen. You know that. As per James experiment, we get finally alternative dark fringes will be formed on the screen. Right. Then let small d be the distance between A and B. As I told you, what is the distance between A and B? It is taken as small d. Then capital D be the distance between the screen Z and the slits. It is this D. This is the screen. This is the double slit. So distance from here to here taken as capital D. Right. Then the central point O dash is always bright because the path difference between the rays meeting at O dash is 0. So what we are saying, this band, the central band, is always going to be a bright band, because if you take a wave from here to here, and if you take one more wave from here to here, the phase difference between the two waves is going to be always 0, always 0. So therefore, they always undergo construct n lambda. What is the condition for constructive interference? N lambda. So in this case, what is n? It is going to be 1. So all of them are going to have the same phase. Therefore, we get here always a bright band will be formed. Then we get dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright on this side, dark, bright bands on this side. Right? Then we are considering a point P on the screen at a distance x from O dash. I told you, P at a distance of what? X from O dash, right? Then the point P may be a bright or a dark. So as I told you, this may be a dark band or a bright band. We don't know right now at the moment, which depends upon the path difference of the waves meeting at P. Yes, it's very important. Whether this P is a bright band or a dark band ultimately depends upon what? It depends upon the path difference between this ray AZ and the path difference and the ray BP. So what is the path difference between this AP and BP? Depending upon that, this is going to be either a bright or a dark band. So we say in general, if the path difference is of the order of n lambda, this is going to be a bright band. Means the path difference between these two, if it is equal to n lambda, then P is going to be a bright band. Or if it is of the order of 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. So if the path difference is of the order of 2n plus 1 lambda by 2, then this P is going to be a dark band. Right? Fine. Then join AP, BP, and OP. So we have joined this. What is this? AP. This AP is a joined. BP is a joined, and this one OP is joined. Then with P as the center and AP as the radius, draw an arc cutting PB at L. So by taking this as origin, by taking this AP as the radius, if you draw a arc, it cuts this BP at point L, right? Then we say, since AL is a very small, triangle ABL is regarded as right angled triangle. Does that? This triangle ABL, you can see now this is going to be 90 degree. This is going to be 90 degree. Therefore, this triangle ABL is taken as a right angle triangle, right? Because L, this AL is a very small distance. Therefore, for a right angle triangle ABL, here we have 90 degree, right? Then now based upon this, now we are saying the triangles ABL, the triangle ABL, this triangle, and the triangle OPO dash, which is that this is O This is a P, this is O dash. This triangle, the dotted one, this triangle OP O dash, they are said to be similar triangles. What is that? The triangle ABL and the triangle OPO dash. These two triangles are similar. Therefore, we say PO dash divided by OO dash equals to BL divided by AL. This we can take it as PO dash divided by BL equals to OO dash divided by AL. Just you take it in this form. Know why? Because in this triangle, for example, if you take this triangle ABL, you know, this AB distance AB will be equals to that this distance AL, this one. The distance AL will be equals to the distance BL. Distance AL will be equals to BL. You can see BL equals to AL. Whereas in triangle OPO dash, the distance PO dash, will be equal to the distance OO dash. So this distance equals to this distance, PO dash equals to O dash, and AL equals to BL, because these are two similar triangles. Therefore, I can rewrite this as what? In this form, PO dash divided by O dash equals to BL divided by AL. That is equals to, this BL is taken as it is, BL equals to BL. This AL you can see almost equals to the distance AB. Therefore, this AL is replaced by AB, because AL and AB are almost equal to each other, right? Then, but what is the PO dash? What is PO dash? You can see this PO dash is what? It is the distance X. So this PO dash is replaced by X. This O dash is what? From here to here. From here to here, from street to screen. What is this? Capital D. So O dash is taken as capital D, right? That is equals to this BL is taken as it is. And what is this AB? What is AB? Distance between the two slits, small d. This is taken as small d, right? So we got X divided by capital D equals to BL divided by small d, right? So one important thing I want to tell you here. First, you identify what is the path difference here. See here. If you take the ray from here to here, A to P, this is the distance, right? And from here to here, it's a perpendicular, right? So if you take the path from L to P, so A to P and L to P, the distance is same. A to P and L to P, the distance is same. Whereas this second ray is traveling this path BL, which is an extra path. This BL is the extra path. Are you able to understand? This AP is equals to LP, whereas this BL, the distance covered by this ray BP, this BL is an extra path traveled by the ray BP. So what is the path difference between this AP and BP? The path difference is this much. This is the extra path traveled by the second ray. So this BL is going to be the path difference. You can see this BL is nothing but path difference between the two rays. Therefore, what we do here, you can see the path difference BL is equals to X into small d divided by capital D cross multiplication. Now we know what is the path difference. That is, path difference BL equals to X into small d divided by capital D. Now, if this path difference is equals to n lambda, that is, the point P appears bright if the path difference is equals to n lambda. So now we are applying the conditions, general conditions. So if this BL equals to n lambda, the point P on the screen is going to be a bright band, right? So if that is the case, now we equate this equals to what? This is taken equals to n lambda by saying that it is a a bright band. If that is the case, then you can simplify this equation as what? Xn equals to n into lambda into capital D divided by small d. So what is the value of n? N can take the value of 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 0, 1, 2, so and so. If suppose if you take n equals to 0, substitute 0 here, it is going to be what? X of 0 equals to, once n becomes 0, this is going to be all 0, that is 0. So this corresponds to what? Central bright band. Central bright band, that is on the screen we have the middle band, that is a central bright band, that is corresponding to n equals to 0. Then if you substitute n equals to 1, right, that is if you say n equals to 1, it's going to be x1. Then what is this going to be? N equals to 1 lambda into capital D by small d. Lambda into capital D by small d. So this corresponds to what? The first bright band. The first bright band, that is, if this is the central band, then you can say this is the first bright band. First bright band. Then if n equals to 2, what is that? It's going to be x2 equals to, so this is here n equals to 2. It's going to be 2 into lambda divided by capital D by small d, right? So 2 into lambda into capital D divided by small d, or x equals to 2. That is what? Second bright band. This is first bright band. This is second bright band. What is fringe width? Distance between this 2 minus 1. Distance between this bright band and this bright band. This distance we call it as fringe width, right? So for that, what we have to do? We have to subtract this from this, right? Therefore, we say distance between any two bright bands, it is x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1. So what is x2? 2 into lambda into capital D by small d minus what is x1? Lambda into capital D by small d. So this x2 minus x1 were denoting by the symbol beta. What is beta? As I told you, this beta is nothing but fringe width. What is called fringe width. So we denote the fringe width as beta, which is the distance between two consecutive bright or dark fringes. So this beta is now equals to what? If we simplify this, what we get? Lambda into capital D by small d. So finally what we got? We got the expression for fringe width for a bright band. So beta equals to lambda into capital D by small d. What is beta? Fringe width. What is lambda? The wavelength of the incoming light. The wavelength of the incoming light. What is capital D? The distance between the screen and the slit. Right? What is small d? The distance between the two slits A and B. Right? So ultimately, you see that this beta is equals to lambda into capital D divided by small d. Right? This is for what? For the bright fringe. In the same way, we do it for dark fringe. That is, the point P appears dark if the path difference is equal to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. The general condition for destructive interference. Right? If that is the case, we equate what is the path difference? Path difference is equal to what? This much, x into small d by capital D. So this x into small d capital D, this is there is a mistake here. So x into this has to be small d, this has to be capital D. So x into small d divided by capital D equals to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2. So if we take n equals to 0, then if we simplify this, it's going to be what? Xn equals to 2n plus 1 lambda by 2 into this d goes here, this d comes here. It is going to be xn equals to 2n plus 1 into lambda by 2 into capital D by small d. Right? Now substitute the value of n equals to 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we take n equals to 0, this is going to be x0, right? So we are going to get what? So this is going to be 0 now. So we are going to get lambda by 2 into capital D by small d. Lambda by 2 into capital D by small d, right? This corresponds to what? First dark band. If you take n equals to 1, it is going to be x1 equals to, so if you substitute 1 here, so 2 plus 1, 3, right? 3 lambda by 2 into capital D by small d. This is for second dark band, right? Then, so n equals to 2, so x2, so this is going to be equal to what? 2 here, 2 into 2, 4, plus 1, 5, 5 lambda by 2, 5 lambda by 2 into capital D by small d, right? So this corresponds to what? Third dark band. Then we take the distance between any two dark bands. We take the distance between any two dark bands. What is that? X2 minus 1, x1. You can take for anything. So this is, in this case, it is going to be x1 minus x0. It is, what is x1? 3 lambda by 2 into capital D by small d, 3 lambda by 2 into capital D by small d, minus, what is x0? Lambda by 2 into capital D by small d. You can take either x1 minus x0 or x2 minus x1 or x3 minus x2. You can take any difference, doesn't matter. So finally what we get, you get lambda, this substitute difference, this, subtract this from this, you get lambda into capital D by small d. What is this x1 minus x0? This is nothing but fringe width beta, right? So finally what we got? We got beta equals to lambda into capital D divided by small d, the expression for fringe width in case of a dark band. In case of a dark band. Now if you compare this equation with this equation, both are exactly same. Both are exactly same. Means what? Fringe width is same for dark bands or for bright bands. Means on the screen, whether you take two bright bands, two consecutive bright bands or two consecutive dark bands, the fringe width is going to be exactly the same. What it means? It means that on the screen, the bands are placed at an equal distance. They are always at equidistant distance from one another. They are uniformly placed. That is the meaning of that, right? And one more interesting thing is that you can see this fringe width beta is inversely proportional to small d. Means what? Lesser the distance between the two slits, more is the fringe width, right? More the distance between the two slits, lesser the fringe width, right? And then more the distance, capital D, what is that? More the distance between the screen and the slit, more the fringe width. Lesser the capital D, lesser the fringe width, right? So from this we can draw so many conclusions. So finally, this fringe width depends upon what? Lambda, the wavelength of the incoming light, capital D, the distance between the screen and the slit, small d, the distance between two slits. It depends upon these parameters, right? So this is how we can obtain an expression for fringe width by using the Young's double slit experiment. And at the end, we come to know that the fringe width for a bright band, the fringe width for a dark band is exactly the same. Is exactly the same, and it depends upon the three parameters: lambda, capital D, and small d. Small d. Right. So this is about the derivation of expression for fringe width. Right. Well, after deriving the expression for fringe width, now you can see the conditions for steady interference pattern. This we discussed earlier a little bit, half of it. So what are the now necessary conditions? We say the two sources of light should be coherent. So the incoming light source should be coherent. Means what? They have to have the same constant phase difference and same frequency. So the two incoming source of light should be coherent. What is that? This one, the light coming from A and light coming from B, they have to be coherent. So to make it coherent, what we do? We are taking a light here, and in this case, what I could do? We are applying the division of wavefront technique. So this incoming light is divided into two from in this A and B. So by applying this division of wavelength technique, what we are getting, the light coming from A and B is coherent because it is coming from only one source. So that entire original source is divided. So we say the light coming from A and B is a coherent source, right? So we are fulfilling the first condition. The two sources of light should be coherent, right? This condition is fulfilled. Then we say the two sources of light must be monochromatic. They must be monochromatic. Means what? This incoming light should be monochromatic. Means what? Having a single wavelength. Single wavelength. So what are the best example? You can go for a laser. You can go for laser, which is a best example for monochromatic light, or you can go for sodium. You can go for sodium light, which you assume it as what is known as a monochromatic light, sodium light, right? Then the third condition: the two interfering wave must have same amplitude. The two interfering wave must have the same amplitude. Means the light coming from this and the light coming from this, they have to have the same amplitude. The amplitude means if you take it as in the form of a wave like this, if you take it as a wave like this, then the amplitude of this and this and this and this, the amplitude has to be same. It has to carry the same amplitude, right? Then the separation between the two slits B must be small in comparison to the distance between the plane containing the slit and the observing screen. You know what it means? So here if you observe this d, small d, this distance is very small compared to the distance capital D. So distance between this screen and the slits, this is very large compared to the distance small d. That is what we say. So this distance small d has to be very less compared to this distance capital D, so that we can obtain a clear fringe patterns on the screen. This is one of the essential condition to obtain a sustained fringe pattern on the screen, right? Then we say the two slits should be narrow. The two slits should be narrow. What is the meaning of this? The value of this small d, the value of this small d, that is this distance. This distance has to be as less as possible. It has to be narrow distance. Then only we will be able to get the a sustained fringe pattern on the screen. As you increase this, as you can see here, as you increase this small d, what will happen? In this example, as you increase this, this small d, this beta fringe width is going to be very large. Means we will not get a proper fringe pattern here. Therefore, we say this has to be very small. If this is small, then this beta is going to be large, so we get a clear fringe pattern on the screen, right? Then one last condition, the two waves should be in the same state of polarization. So right now I'll not go in detail for this. Just remember that we have to have the same state of polarization, right? Both incoming waves. So these are the essential conditions to to obtain what is called a steady state interference pattern. Otherwise, if you don't follow these rules, the fringe pattern which is obtained on the screen, it is not going to be a steady fringe pattern. Steady fringe pattern, right? So we discuss about the condition for fringe pattern. Well, so next I have a quiz for you. Now, before going for this quiz, I want you to observe these two videos which you didn't see in the last class. Just go through these two videos. So whatever I have discussed so far in the Young's double slit experiment, the whole concept will be much more clear once you observe these both the videos. Observe them carefully and watch it properly. So what we are saying here, we are saying that these red color ones are corresponding to the crest of the wave, and this dark in between you have this black one. This black corresponds to what? Trough. So red corresponds to crest, and this dark corresponds to trough of the wave. Crest, trough. Crest, trough, like this. We have alternative crest, trough, crest, trough, crest, trough. Right? Right. I think now the interference pattern is much clear for you. I want you to observe one more video to give you a real-time experience of this Young's double slit experiment. Just to watch this video carefully. There is no sound for this. Just observe this video carefully. What we're showing here is, so here from this you get the light. From this we get the light. Here in this tray we have kept water, and below this there is a glass. So whatever the changes which happens here, there will be this image will be made to fall on this mirror, and here it undergoes a reflection. That image will be formed on this screen here. So this is the experimental arrangement. So here we have water. We are showing this Young's double slit experiment with help of water. So here we are having these slits. So first we make use of one slit, then we make use of two slits, and we will show you the fringe pattern. Whatever the fringe pattern we discussed so far, that fringe pattern will be observed on this screen, right? So this is the experimental setup. You observe it carefully. So what you saw so far is for a single slit. So far it was a single slit. Now what we have two slits. You can see in between we have kept this block. So there is one opening here and there is one opening here. So now this is the experimental setup of Young's double slit experiment with the help of water. We are making use of water. With the help of water, we are showing you the waves, how they undergo constructive and destructive interference here. Right? So one opening here and one more opening here. So it acts like a double slit now. This experimental setup of Young's double slit experiment. And now you observe the fringe pattern which is undergoing constructive and destructive interference, and finally we get on the screen alternative dark and bright fringe patterns, right? Observe this. Right. So with these two experiments, the Young's double slit experiment is demonstrated. Hope the concept of Young's double slit experiment is clear now. With all this, now we'll go for a quiz, right? Quiz on Young's double slit experiment. A small quiz just to see how much we have understood this concept, right? The question number one. So there are dash methods available for producing coherent sources. How many methods are available to produce the coherent sources? What is the correct answer? How many methods are available? Hello? Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how many methods are available? So there are two methods available: division of wavefront, division of amplitude. The correct answer is 2. So there are two methods available for producing the coherent sources. Then question number 2. The technique used in Young's double slit experiment. So in Young's double slit experiment, what is the technique we are using? Yes. In Young's double slit experiment, what we are using is we are using the division of wavefront technique. We are using the division of wavefront technique, right? Then question number 3. Young's double slit experiment illustrates the phenomenon of, yes,
Diffraction, sir.
Interference.
it demonstrates the phenomenon of interference.
Inter.
It demonstrates the phenomenon of interference, right? Next, in Young's double slit experiment, the central band is always,
Bright band.
okay, so it is going to be always a bright band,
Bright band.
that is the central band, right? And then last question, in Young's double slit experiment, the distance between the two slits, that is small d, must be,
Very
what is the
small,
correct
sir.
answer? It has to be very, very small. This
Small.
is the correct answer, right? So this is a small pitch based upon the Young's double slit experiment. I think we have come to the end of this class. Again, time still we are left with. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Sir, double slit